You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. All right, let's head out to the Ponderosa. Tigers are back on the practice field on Monday. Media got to watch about an hour of drills earlier today, and we got to see some 11-on-11, some 7-on-7. So kind of empty the notebook here and fill you in on what we saw today. First of all, when we were out there last week, we saw the Tigers in full pads for the first time. Today, on Monday, they took off a layer. So they were in I guess what you call shells, helmets, shoulder pads, and shorts. So we didn't see a ton of full contact, full go, as I think Brian Kelly has been it's been very evident throughout this camp that at times he is being very cautious with this team to make sure that they stay fresh when they need a day off, when they need to scale back a little bit. When we talked to Brian Kelly initially, he talked about sort of ramping up their work outside incrementally, an extra 15 minutes, an extra 20 minutes, kind of getting conditioned to the heat and the element that they're facing throughout this camp and very likely going to face in their opener against Florida State down in Orlando. So it's today was a day where they scaled back a smidge, at least from what we were able to see. Instead of our normal viewing period beginning at about 10:15, they let us in about 10:45 today. And when we went out there, they were working on punt team initially. Watched the primary punt team, and then they moved from punt team into 11-on-11s. What stands out about, if I could just, so I go sort of chronologically in my notebook, what stands out about the special teams units is the personnel. And this is something that Nick Saban was very big on when he was here, and it's something that Les carried on as well. And that is that they are going to play the best players on special teams. And last week when we got to watch punt team, the first punt unit from left to right on the line was Sage Ryan, Major Burns, Omar Spates, West Weeks, Greg Penn, Harold Perkins, Andre Sam. The personal protectors were Ovia Gofu, Marlon Martinez, Savion Jones. I mean, those are all dudes in the two deep that are going to play a lot. Well, today we got to watch the punt team. So again, last week we saw punt return. Last week we saw punt against Scout. Today we got to see punt return in the full unit. The three returners today, Aaron Anderson went first. And I don't mean to be repetitive because I know a lot of people are talking about Aaron Anderson, and he's the kid everybody knows. It was a 5-star from Edna Carr, signed with Alabama, basically missed all of last year at Alabama with injury, transferred to LSU. And look, he's diminutive. I mean, he's 5'8", 195 pounds thereabouts, I think is what they have him listed at. But he is unmistakable. I mean, his ability to cut and change direction, his straight line speed, it pops. Like, you notice him out there, and it's not just because he's a short guy amid a whole bunch of tall receivers. But it's noticeable. So Aaron Anderson was out there returning punts, as was Gregory Clayton as well. So that's apparently the order that they're going to go with punt return. And then the punt return unit that we saw across the line, again, you're going to notice a whole bunch of guys that they're counting on. Whit Weeks was out there with the punt return unit, who they like a lot, by the way. The freshman's West Weeks' brother, Whit Weeks, who at one point when they were running second-team defense in 7-on-7s, it was West and Whit Weeks as the inside backers, which is pretty cool to see them line up side by side. But they are very high on Whit Weeks. We got to see Ashton Stamps, who was rotating in a ton at corner. We'll get to more of that as well. We saw Chris Hilton on punt return. This is across the front line. I'm not talking about your returners. These are the guys that are going to be running back blocking for the returner. West Weeks was there as well. Noah Kane was there on first team punt return on the line. I mean, you're noticing Deuce Chestnut, Brian Thomas Jr. It's a lot of dudes out there that are going to play meaningful snaps for this team on offense and defense, and those are the guys. Javian Toviano was on that unit as well. So it's not like they're digging deep into the depth chart to find guys to just get them reps and get them out on the field. There's a sincere commitment on special teams. Let me run through what we got to see 11 on 11. By the way, they have, for the guys that are injured, and thankfully, knock on Formica, LSU's avoided major injuries so far in this fall camp. And that's a good thing. But when they do have guys that have been a little banged up and they work them off to the side with trainers, it's sort of their rehab group. Today we saw Josh Williams over there. He had a knee brace on. Greg Brooks was over there. Armani Goodwin and Landon Ibieta. So when we first walked in, those were the guys that were working with the rehab group. They were all in pads and they were all participating to some degree, but just limited in scope. Also, Mason Smith was not participating when they went full team drills as well, but he was out there. He was the only one of the linemen not wearing the hard knee braces, but Mason Smith was out there doing everything except the team drills. If you give me a second here, I'll run through what we got to see in the 11 on 11. First team offense, it was 11 on 11. It was a 2-minute. So it's just, you were just moving down the field. So even if it's an incomplete pass, they still advance the ball. First team got 8 snaps. Second team got 8 snaps. This is how it went. First play, Deuce Chestnut locked down Malik Neighbors, and Jaden Daniels had to scramble. Second play, they threw a screen to Brian Thomas. Third play, it was an incomplete pass intended for Mason Taylor. Greg Penn on the coverage broke it up. Again, you're noticing a trend. The defense making plays, getting pressure, locking down receivers. A fourth play, they ran a reverse to Malik Neighbors that went for a short gain. Then the biggest gainer was a slant to Aaron Anderson. Hilton got a reception on the left side. Then they went to the middle to Aaron Anderson on a quick slant. And then they ran a bubble to Aaron Anderson. You get the drift of 8 plays. 3 of them went to number 1. Like, they are going to get that kid involved in the offense. This isn't just, if this is just media overblowing this, then Brian Kelly is going to great lengths to show us stuff when we're in there that he has no intention of using, which I just don't believe is the key, or is the truth. With the limited running backs, Trey Bradford was running with the first teams, and with Greg Brooks out, interestingly, we saw Omar Spates kick out to nickel, and then we saw Greg Penn and Harold Perkins at linebacker. So that was in that 2-minute drill for the first team. When the second team went out there, your second cornerbacks were LaTerrence Welch and Ashton Stamps. And y'all, later we got to see 7-on-7s, and Ashton Stamps was running as the whenever the first team defense, someone needed a spell, the first guy that went in was Stamps. So freshman out of Rummel, he has worked his. Everyone asks all the time about Denver Harris, with good reason. By the way, I did not see Denver Harris at practice today. I don't know if he was there and I just missed him, but he was certainly not participating on the 2 deep, and I did not see him on the sideline when we got to watch the team drills. But Ashton Stamps has clearly made an impact. Let's see. For the second team, this is how their offensive series went. Again, it was 8 snaps. Nussmeier had a completed pass to Kai Preon. On the second play, Ashton Stamps had a pass breakup against Kai Preon, and that was probably the defensive highlight. The way he closed on the route was a great play. Third play, Nuss scrambled. Fourth play, Nuss rolled right, completed it to Mac Markway. They ran a toss to the freshman Caleb Jackson on the fifth play. On the sixth play, Nussmeier was sacked. On the seventh play, they threw it deep into the end zone. Nussmeier threw it deep into the end zone. It was incomplete to number 14, the kid out of Texas whose name I never remember. Do you remember it off the top?
Kyle Parker.
Kyle Parker, thank you. It was intended for Kyle Parker in the end zone, whose name at some point in my career I'll be able to remember the kid's name. He's the new Hunter Fiducia. And then they on the eighth play, it was just a running play to Caleb Jackson. So it was interesting to go watch him play today. What I would say is, by the way, when we got to see 7-on-7s, the highlight of the day on 7-on-7s, when Ricky Collins ran third. And on the last play that the media saw, they ran a wheel route to John Emery. He emptied out of the backfield, wheeled to the left side, and just went. And Collins hit him with a beautiful pass. Emery made a great catch on his fingertips and housed it. So really a fantastic play. So, man, they're looking good. I think the biggest takeaways that you could find so far, the offense got off to a great start. Defense has caught up, especially as they've started to solidify that rotation in the secondary. And if I'm looking at a rotation in the secondary, it is pretty clear that your first two corners, Deuce Chestnut is your best corner. Zy Alexander is running opposite him. And the next two guys in are LaTerrence Welch and freshman Ashton Stamps, who has made a big impact. And they keep an eye on Aaron Anderson because they keep finding creative ways to get him involved with everything we get to see. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.